Hello and welcome to the Media Beat with Maureen and Claire. And I think we are now on, what it must have been now, episode 87. Good Lord, can it really be that many as we crawl towards the century? Now, you know that every episode is special. We always say that. And like every child is special. All our 87 children have been just as special as each other. However, some are super special. And it's one of those today because it's the first recording of the year 2026. And what do we do on the first recording of the year? We make predictions, and we had our recap of 2025 predictions in the last episode, and Maureen and Claire both did brilliantly. We added up the scores. It ended up it was a draw, I think, if I remember rightly, but the predictions were extremely good, up in the high 80s 90%. So of course we're going to do it for 2026. The topic list we have, the same 8 topics as we always have, because they seem to work really well. So we're going to do the same, and we are going to make predictions for 2026. And hopefully it's going to be a mixture of radical predictions and sort of placing your bets sensibly predictions. And hopefully we will have some debate as well, and maybe some disagreement, perhaps, because we always like a little bit of respectful disagreement between Claire and Maureen. So let's crack on. The first one, as ever, is M&A. So we're going to start with Maureen, because, sometimes the more businessy flavour start with Maureen, the more creatively flavour we start with Claire. So this is very much a businessy one. I'm going to give you both 2 minutes on each subject so that we don't overrun. And I'm going to be fairly strict, actually, because I know you quite like the headmaster version of Oliver, as opposed to the easygoing beta male version of Oliver. So, and of course, I adore that, having some kind of control and power. You have 2 minutes, Maureen. And the first topic is predictions for 2026 on M&A, starting now.
Oh, wonderful. But Happy New Year, so I can just sneak that in. And my God, 80 to 90% predictions right. So you set the bar quite high. All right. So M&A. So I think M&A is going to be more about corporate restructurings and spin-offs. And why I say that is because we're seeing a hell of a lot over the last decade of building businesses up, or to use Claire's nice little analogy, Lego style. So I reckon this is going to be more carve-outs, spin-offs, and asset sales rather than the merger, which were basically mega. So no mega mergers anymore. And the reason for that, and what underpins, I think, these decisions at the board levels, are probably regulation, debt, leverage, and really the integration risk that we're seeing a lot of these big international deals not really handle very well, and really quite hard to justify these days. We're going to continue to see the unwinding of and the battle between Warner Brothers, Netflix, and Paramount, Sky, Paramount. And there are going to be some defensive moves there, I believe, which will be probably about focus rather than anything else. And on the private equity side, I think what we're going to start to see, and I'm going to throw in a couple of names like Redbird Capital, who's clearly investing a lot in media, and also Apollo, for example. I think what we're going to see there as well is more operational discipline than we've seen financial engineering. And I also believe we're going to start to see a different asset class, which will be their focus, and that's around sports and sports rights. And of course, we've already seen the fruits of some of this with Apollo investing in Wrexham FC and Atletico. I can't pronounce this. My football knowledge is hopeless. But the sports stuff over in Madrid. So sports rights are going to be a really.
Oh, there we go. That's your 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give up there. I'm going to stop there. Hopefully that was strong enough.
I'm sure Atletico Madrid like being referred to as that sports stuff out in Spain. I'm sure they love that.
I don't know if Real Madrid would agree with that, but yes.
Well, I think it's Atletico, isn't it? But anyway, let's not get into football. Yeah. So that was great. They were very dense, may I say. Not dense in terms of not intelligent, but dense in terms of lots of stuff there, Maureen. Congrats. Very good. Claire, it's your turn. 2 minutes, starting now.
Right. Well, I'm going to start by saying I think Netflix-WBD is going to happen. And the reason I think that is that Maureen told us that it was going to happen. Therefore, I entirely believed her, and she gave some pretty strong arguments. And I think once that happens, and it may take a while, as we've seen with other deals, that's sort of the end of the mega mergers, because there's nothing much else on the block. And you have to see that Netflix plus YouTube, that's about a quarter of all of the viewing, the screen viewing in the US. So we're getting to a point where there's just not that many people around. I think that also means that what I would predict is the start of the consolidation of apps. So we may not have quite as many apps to click on if we want content at the end of 2026. That's my prediction. So I'm thinking the likes of the Paramount, Peacock, and then in Europe, the individual channels, BBC, Channel 4, ITV. I think we're going to see consolidations. We're already seeing BBC content on the Channel 4 player, and I think we're seeing more and more of that. So I'm hoping that by the end of 2026, I don't know. Well, I'm thinking that at the end of 2026, we'll be down to 3 or 4 key apps per market, as opposed to the 8+ that we currently all have. But that means that a lot of the smaller apps will either be merged in or potentially also dead. So I think we're going to see a simplification, consolidation of the M&A market. And that is me. And I think I've run out of time looking at the clock. So
No,
how am I doing?
please keep going. 24 seconds to go. No, I'm joking.
Okay, can I keep my 24 seconds for the next topic? Can I?
Oh, that makes it very, very difficult.
You can hand it over. Yes, she's got some juicy.
All right, I'll stop
later.
there anyway.
Yeah.
I'll give it back to the clock. I'm giving back my 24 seconds to the clock because that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's right. Once it's gone, use it or lose it, I think. Otherwise, we might have the last subject lasting about 25 minutes, which is maybe
well, that was my hope. You see, I was building up to that because I know what the last topic is.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And Oliver, can I say something? Because exactly what Claire was saying, which just resonates with some of the things I've been thinking about. I think what Claire was saying, it's going to be unwinding all of the complexity that we're seeing in media. So I think unwinding complexity could be a good phrase that we go back to next year when we're looking at our predictions.
I'm going to write that down. Yeah. Unwinding complexity. It's a lovely phrase. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. That could be a subtitle for episode 140 or whatever we'll be at that point. Unwinding complexity. Excellent. Lovely. We like our phrases here on the Media Beat with Maureen and Claire, our little compendium. That's great. Again, very dense. Lots of stuff in M&A. Gosh, it bodes well for the rest. We're going to start with Maureen on this one as well, because it's the never-ending subject now of AI and tech. And I think we're hoping for more predictions than AI is going to. Most podcasts would just say AI is going to continue to be important, but no, we go into more specific, concrete predictions than that. Without overselling it, Maureen, over to you for 2 minutes on AI and tech.
Well, I think we're foolish to even think about predicting AI. As I heard this morning someone say, when you're talking about time zones or timelines, are you talking about AI decade, i.e. weeks? You're not talking about years. So I think this is a really difficult one, and I love that phrase. So for the last few years, what have we seen, and what have Claire and I and you, Oliver, spoken about? We've seen AI being talked about, something that we use. Well, my 2026 prediction is it becomes something we manage. So I'm going for agents. I believe that we're going to be moving away from all the co-pilots and the dashboards and so on and so forth to agent-based workflows, systems that execute tasks end to end. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm completely impressed by NBC Universal's Agentic ad buying work, which it announced recently, I think it was in November, back end of November, with Freewheel, which now will become the AI systems negotiating, optimizing, and executing buys, so media buys across live environments, with, of course, some human checkpoints. So I think that's a really a landmark product and systems development. So I believe that will kick off a lot more companies doing agents-based activity. And it's not going to be just these one-off, small, ad hoc, I've done a short, or there's something else happening over here, and it just happens to be a one-off. So mine is agents, and then the other is we will see the first features long form features film in around maybe summertime of this year, and I predict that to come out of the OpenAI ecosystem. So that's my other prediction. So I've gone sort of full on agents, and I've gone full on long form features, probably animation film. So they are my two strong AI predictions, because I don't think it's possible to do much by way of predictions in AI. And I'll give that time back to you, Oliver, if we don't use it. Or Claire doesn't want to use it.
I will use it, absolutely. I'm taking over, Oliver. You haven't buzzed, so I'm assuming this is all fine, and I can just start eating into Maureen's time.
Yes, absolutely. Funnily enough, it was just bang on 2 minutes, so the boing went, and I just thought that was so amazing. But
See,
yes,
we get better and better as we move on. That's what happens.
Yeah, that
Except for that last topic where we're just going to talk for 25 minutes. Anyway, shall I start? I will start.
Yes, I'm going to start the timer.
I'm seeing your age. This is quite funny because we haven't actually prepped together. We've both prepped separately, and it's quite funny to see what comes out. So I'm taking your agent prediction, Maureen, and I'm dealing you back a workflow. So I think this is the year where AI meets workflow. And the reason I think this is that Notion, which is, a tool that has 100 million users now, which basically automates your workflow using AI, has become silently, in the same way that's a sort of word of mouth. People start using it when it's not showing up in conferences and big articles, etc. It has become silently an incredible standard in a lot of workflows, including in production, although mostly in pre and post production. And so that's the second part of my prediction is that AI will influence pre and post production increasingly through workflow tools like Notion, but will not yet. And yes, perhaps we will have the one, long form AI generated film, but I don't think it's going to influence in a significant way next year the production side of things. Although it may automate certain workflows that even better than it did before. But the other thing I wanted to predict in terms of AI, I was looking at Gemini's penetration, and in just a few weeks or month, and you're quite right to talk about AI decades, it has started to really eat into OpenAI's dominance. So I am predicting that Gemini is actually going to surge ahead, and that OpenAI is going to have to think very carefully about what it does. And I can see Oliver starting to look like I'm getting close to my 2 minutes, so I will stop there. Phew. Before the buzzer.
Oh, you've done it again. You've got 9 seconds, which you will not get back. This AI decades, what a hilarious notion. It is just like that, isn't it? It's like time has been put in fast forward. And there goes your boinger. There you go. So you did have your 10 minutes.
Oh, God, that's so much more time. Yeah, Gemini, I think, is incredibly, for so long, OpenAI was dominating. I'm just talking now. So OpenAI was dominating so much of the user scenarios, and in terms of the bot element of AI, which is obviously just a small part of what it can do. And I think Gemini is surging ahead. It will be very interesting to see what happens this year. And now I'll stop.
Now, it's quite interesting about the workflow as well as the creative. That's something that is part of the story in other parts of the business as well. Excellent. Again, very dense. Lots of stuff to unpick a year from now. I can hardly wait for the year to be over. Let us move on. Yes, Claire. Well, it's ad space. So this is often something that you lead on. So it's ads and retail, and I won't give the phrase that you've put in the show notes here because I'll let you drop the phrases that you put in there because they sound fascinating. So 2 minutes, Claire, on ads and retail, starting now.
Yes, well, global retail media ad spend is forecast to grow even more next year. It's had a record year last year in 2025. In fact, it became bigger than television ad spend, including connected television ad spend. And I think retail media will continue to grow next year, perhaps not quite as fast, but it will continue to be a very important part of the equation. It's worth remembering that over 80% of retail media spend occurs in China and the US. So it is very, very specific to those two markets. And it hasn't quite become as big in other markets, which means that there is still potentially a lot of growth there. But the rest of the world is growing. And I think we're going to see it more and more. The big thing that we started talking about the end of last year is TikTok Shop and Instagram shopping and all of these social media shoppable really becoming a proper force in its own right. Now, it's still small if you think that the global retail media is going to be around $175 billion US. TikTok Shop is only is only about 30, which is much smaller, but growing incredibly fast. And it just shows that there is, I think, a constant move from the sort of traditional ad spend to experiences, to retail media, to influencers, etc., etc. Now, what TikTok will become, considering the uncertainty around its ownership in the US, remains to be seen. But I don't see the TikTok shop effect, whether it's on TikTok or otherwise, going anywhere else. The two big questions for me that I want to put on the table for this coming year is what happens to agencies. And I think agencies are going to have a very difficult year. They already had a difficult year last year, but it's going to become worse and worse as they get squeezed out of the equation. And two, are we going to continue to see the absolute dominance of the platform?
Not bad.
That was very
Not
scary.
bad at all.
The absolute dominance of the platforms that we are seeing at the moment with Amazon and Google. Although TikTok is breaking into that. I'm stopping now. Thank you.
Well, considering you can't see the clock, that was very, very awesome. And your eyes went to the size of dinner plates when that boy came.
Well, it was a cartoon noise, so I had to have a cartoon reaction.
I don't want to say cartoon face. That sounds a bit insulting. But you know what I mean. That's good. Yeah, great stuff. Again, loads and loads of stuff coming through. So social retail. That was the phrase that you used in the notes. I think that's a fascinating thing. It's so tempting when something nice comes up for you to buy, which is completely in the context of what you're watching. It's nasty. Maureen, you have 2 minutes on the same subject. The subject is ads and retail, starting now.
All right, thank you. So I think Claire sort of set this all out, but I think we're all seeing the gap between media and transactions is really definitely collapsing. So definitely, platforms like TikTok have proved that discovery, entertainment, and purchase can happen in one single flow. We're seeing that, and I think what's happening here then is it's forcing the rest of the market to really rethink how value then is captured. And I agree with you, Claire. I think agencies are really going to struggle, even though we have seen WPP leaning in towards and hoping that its own system called Open will help lure in brands to really sort of tackle with this, but I'm not sure. But you're absolutely right. I think you came up with the fantastic stats around Amazon, but I think what's going to happen is, and you touched on that in terms of Amazon's dominance, it's getting Amazon's ad business is now so massive, it's big enough to invite, I think, real scrutiny. So I think there's going to be a focus on what Amazon commands, of course, and this is a US focus attention here, but Walmart and Target are definitely building their own retail media networks. And I think they will continue to push hard against Amazon. So the media networks are looking really good. And what they're trying to do is to win the space through real explicit measurement standards. So they're going for frequency, transparency in particular. And so I think what's really happening overall in this ecosystem is the shift isn't just shoppable content. I think it's basically saying to media that, can you prove to us that you can shift our product? And so for me, I think the whole 2026 is going to be questioning brands really focusing on addressable TV and digital video.
Still pretty good, Maureen. That's not bad. That's within 2 seconds and a lovely summary at the end. Great stuff. Good. Lovely 2 different perspectives on that as well. We are getting additive predictions, which of course is always not too much. Not too much. I agree with Claire, or I agree with Maureen. I love that. Quite interesting.
Well, we do agree.
And
we do agree.
Exactly.
There's other areas which
a different lens, shall we say, which is very nice. It's good that you rehearsed separately as well. That's good. Adds to a bit of tension as well, which I always like, because it's not on me. Let's move on. Topic 4. Yes, where we cannot ignore streaming. So we'll start with Maureen. You've put something in here called The Return of the Bundle, which I don't think is a movie title. I think it's a business model. But tell us more. 2 minutes, Maureen, on streaming.
Of course, it could well be actually. It's a really good name, the return of the bundle. So on streaming, I think 2026 is definitely going to be everyone admitting that they must stop pretending that standalone channels really do make the economics work. So it doesn't, and we can see that through Disney basically stopping Hulu as a standalone app. In fact, this month, January. And instead, we've got bundling. So bundling becomes a default pricing strategy, not because consumers have asked for it, but because basically churn, ceilings, and content inflation have really broken the pure play model. That I think is understood now by the industry, and I think in particular, as Disney is at the forefront of showing us with Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN bundles, and the like. So I think the economic gravity, or the gravity of the economics, is really now meant that this will continue to be the year of the bundle. And Claire and I have been talking about this actually for a couple of years, but I believe that this will be normalized now. So bundles aren't just about convenience anymore. They really are a defensive infrastructure for all streaming companies. And I'll stop there.
Oh, you stopped before the boings. Interesting. But yeah, absolutely fine. Claire, you still only have 2 minutes though.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I agree. It's the return of the bundle. It's the return of the big box, really, the mega library, which we saw a few years ago, and then that sort of disappeared as everybody was doing their play. But if we've got YouTube, we've got Netflix, and potentially Netflix plus WBD, and everybody else. And you talked about Disney, but Disney is not in a great place, and it's not starting the year in a great place. They're really, really struggling with engagement. They have a lot of churn. They're struggling to show their subscribers what they can offer that they can't find on Netflix or the YouTube. So I think we've talked about the sort of mid-tier platforms disappearing, including, I think Paramount and Peacock are going to have to merge. I can't see any other option, or merge with one of the big ones. I wonder about Disney and Hulu and what happens to them. And do they merge with, we've been talking about Disney and Apple for many years. It's still a bit of a pie in the sky plan. It doesn't seem to be immediate, but I think they're going to find next year quite challenging. And we know that there's been a lot of grumblings on the shareholders front. So I'm curious to see what happens with Disney. I really also want to say that Netflix has become, if the WBD deal comes through, is going to become such a dominant player in this field that it will be a utility. You'll have two utilities, which will be YouTube and Netflix. YouTube entirely ad supported, Netflix a subscription and ad. Well, actually, YouTube some subscription and ads, and Netflix some subscription and ads, and everything else will be nice to have and potentially a serial churner scenario. So that's what I think will happen in streaming.
Yes, very good.
Can I add something before, Oliver, before you do that?
Yeah, you had 20 seconds. I think you have to take. I'm going
to claim my 20 seconds. I think Disney. I think you're absolutely right. I think Disney 2020 is going to focus on then Succession, as we've been talking about for many years. The Succession is going to be Bob Iger now will be handing the reins over, and I think that's why maybe not too many major decisions will happen in 2026. They'll have co-CEOs as well. I reckon they will not just pick one successor, there'll be two of them sitting side by side. And the reason for that is the chair of Disney seems to like co-CEOs, just if you look back at his own history.
Or it might break up.
Oh, you heard that here.
That's my potential, out there prediction. Yes. Look at it, there's Disney breakup. They're going to have to do something, because right away, they lost, Disney Plus and Hulu lost over 3 million and 4.1 million US subscribers respectively in September last year. They are not in a good place, and they're going to have to decide how they want to invest their money. So maybe two CEOs of two different companies.
Oh, I like the idea of an out there prediction, or a left field prediction for our American listeners, a listener base which is growing, I have to say. So that, yeah, they love the European voices out there in the US, and we're covering French and
It's
English.
not the voices, Oliver, it's the content.
Well, yes, that's true. Actually, yes, 99% content, but it doesn't harm to have a bit of European sophistication in there
Fair
as well.
enough.
I'd say, but yes, absolutely. That was great, and I like the out there prediction. So please feel free to do the crazy left field prediction as well. And then next year we'll just forget that we made them, unless there's something that we get hit, unless there's something that we get absolutely spot on. We're halfway there. We've done 4 topics, and our timing is impeccable. We do need to crack on, and it's content trends. And this is the Claire one, we start off with Claire. So yes, content trends predictions for 2026, Claire. 2 minutes from now.
Well, I think 2026 we're going to see perhaps the beginning of the end of the Prestige miniseries, and I have to say, not a moment too soon as far as I'm concerned, because I can't. And I'm sorry, I nothing against Nicole Kidman, but I cannot do another 8 episode of her being really scared of somebody or potentially being the killer. I don't know. I don't watch them. The point is that trend is starting to look like it's not sustainable, and look what's back. Procedurals. The 2 biggest shows last year in the US were absolutely The Pit, which was a runaway success, and then Matlock, which was a sort of slightly smaller success, but did really well in terms of a good old-fashioned 20 episode a year, procedural. And then you've got things like Abbott Elementary, which is a traditional sitcom, half hour, etc. I'm seeing a lot of that, and that's just been validated by the Golden Globes wins of a lot of these shows. The Pit doing amazingly well. The Pit, by the way, you still can't see in the UK, but I have watched it thanks to my French Canal Plus subscription, and it is amazing. So do watch it when you can. I think people need, they need comfort viewing. People turn to procedurals when they want something that they kind of know how it's going to end. And so the comfort is watching something while knowing where it's going to end, and you can really get involved in the process. And you like the content. People like content. They're still watching NCIS. It's getting 19 billion views across Hulu, Netflix, and Paramount Plus. Still watching Grey's Anatomy. 22 billion views across all platforms. They're watching things like Family Guy. They're watching things like Bog Burgers. You've got newcomers like High Potential. You still have the very strong reality shows like Dancing with the Stars. You're seeing the same thing happen in the UK, where cozy murder shows are coming back, and I am on time. But yes, back to comfort viewing. That's my content trend of the year.
Love it. Not only good predictions and understandable predictions, but nice headlines as well. Back to comfort viewing. Love this. So I must make a record of this. The Pit sounds amazing, but I think your critique of Nicole Kidman is hilarious. It's basically Nicole Kidman stars as someone who's scared or a murderer.
I don't know. I haven't watched
that's wonderful.
I'm assuming that's what's happening. She looks really scared.
Yeah. Oh, she's scared again. Yeah. My wife's got sick of Nicole Kidman in acts of ecstasy as well. She's that's
Nicole, another thing that
another one of her
watch.
arrows to her quiver, so to speak. Right. Let's move on. So yes, Maureen, your content trends predictions. 2 minutes starting now.
Okay, but I'm in the same lane as Claire on this. Absolutely. So all I'm going to do is just to show my bias in terms of the shows I've been watching and the many hours I've spent watching procedurals. So, right. But anyway, so more importantly, it's absolute. So after years of expensive experimentation, the platforms are now rediscovering something very old-fashioned and repeatable. In particular, my favourite, The Lincoln Lawyer, which is based on Michael Connolly's book, The Law of Innocence. And I'm so pleased that season 4 is going to start in February of this year. So I totally agree with everything you've said, Claire, in terms of they work. They're amazing. They are comfort viewing. And for me, I probably one of was one of those that helped to tot up 240 million hours of Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix for season 3. So absolutely, returning sort of factual series probably travel well as well. So they build the habit and amortize costs over time. So it makes sense for these types of formats to work, to play, and to be brought back. So I think 2026 is going to be about fewer shows, but it's also about better financial engines for the streamers, i.e. they can guarantee the audience, they know these shows work, and they're fewer bets with clear identities. So I love it. I love the fact that this will continue in 2026. So long live the procedurals. So that's me
And
there.
volume.
And volume.
So much more with
Yes.
20 episodes
Yeah.
a year than with this one of 6 episodes or even 8. It should
Exactly.
probably have been done in 6.
So no more horrible rich people and plots.
Well, I mean, actually, the one counterexample to that is White Lotus, which
Yeah, I was
still
gonna
does
say.
very well. But I
No.
think White Lotus does very well because it is a brand and it's come back over and over again with a very recognizable concept. So even though the series is only 10 episodes or whatever, it builds and it does what a good long-running show does, which is it comes back every year stronger. So White Lotus is a sort of hybrid in this case. So we will be seeing more White Lotus and white people, rich white people, because
Yeah.
they're shooting the next season in France, apparently.
Oh, really? Well, it had to happen, didn't it?
Yeah.
I can't wait for the London one. London one will be set in the Yorkshire Dales. I think that'd be nice.
Oh yeah, of course.
White
Where all the rich people go.
Right, White Lotus. Yeah, great. It'll be a pub called the White Lotus, I think, just outside Leeds. That'd be great. That'd be episode 20 when they're getting desperate. They've used all the nice places. So, welcome to White Lotus. Anyway, no one understands the Yorkshire accent outside the UK, so I'll stop and we will move on. Music. This is probably my favourite, I think. Music, Claire. Yes, you usually start this one. Let's hear about it. Topic 6. Music, Claire. You have 2 minutes.
So I'm assuming that Maureen is going to talk a lot about AI music, so I won't talk too much about it. Yes, it's growing fast. There's more and more AI generated music. It's one of the things that's quite easy to generate via AI. I think what's interesting with music is that in parallel to this growth, we're seeing a counter trend, which is really about, I'm going to say, human authenticity. Which is about, artist control, smaller, more flexible deals, a lot of live music. And so it's the anti-AI music in many ways. And we're seeing this. I mean, I was very interested to see that The Weeknd, which is a current artist, it's not a library artist as far as I'm concerned, just closed a landmark $1 billion catalog partnership with Lyric Capital in last December, December 2025, which is really interesting. It's only done it for his back catalog. He will continue, all the music that he creates going forward will still be his. So it's a sort of artist-friendly way of selling its catalog, as opposed to, the sales like Springsteen that sold everything in one go, which obviously he's at a different age and he has different needs. But I think we're going to see a lot more of that, short-term, flexible deals, a lot of TikTok viral music, including some old stuff. We've seen this. I mean, this has been going on for a few years, but I think we're going to continue to see this. And live music, is continuing to grow at 8 to 10% CAGR and will continue to be massive. I completely messed up my Oasis prediction last year, so I'm not going to make any specific predictions on bands, but it's going to continue to be a huge thing. Mega tours, but also smaller tour in smaller venues. All of this idea that, the opposite of AI music is really to get closer and closer to the artist. So we're mega fans.
You did it. You did it.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I finished. So that was it.
Yeah,
That's what I wanted to say.
Perfection. I hope so too. I want to get back to the artists and smaller artists as well. I'm going to make a New Year's resolution to see more little gigs with my kids. And so, that all resonates to the anti-AI. Although maybe there is an AI angle as well. I think if there is, we will hear about it from Maureen. 2 minutes.
You know me. You both know me so well.
Yeah.
So I think music is going to become the test case for AI governance. And I think the industry, so I mean, certainly we're starting to see some of this, the industry is moving towards structured licensing, away from these lawsuits. I mean, we even have Universal Music Group being quite explicit about this, saying, look, AI isn't the enemy here, but unlicensed use is the enemy. So I think that's a real signal towards all of the music labels and artists saying, let's move towards auditable and usage-based frameworks. So as synthetic voices explode, they have some control. I mean, we might even see, certified trademark, watermarks and whatnot, all of that technology underpinning this. But I think it's really interesting. But at the same time, I think we're still seeing streaming growth slowing. I mean, still growing, but slowing. And Spotify continues to raise prices. But I think on the other side, like artists like Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, as you've mentioned, Claire, they're really pushing the super fan tiers and the direct monetization. So that I think is going to continue. So I think music in 2026 is going to be about one thing: getting paid properly by the platforms, fans, or machines. So I think that's going to be the tone, the rhythm for 2026.
And you've done it with 22 seconds to spare. I like that.
Yay.
That. We've got another catchphrase as well, getting paid properly. So that's going in the log. I like it. Cool. Right. So we move on. And where do we go after music? Yes. Something I half understand and half don't understand. Maureen, it's sports and gaming. Let me. There's your points. So you did. Yeah, there's your previous points.
Loads of time.
I really wanted to keep that short because I thought that I was going to be quite expansive in my discussion around AI, but I checked myself. You
did, and you sort of went quite fast as well in that way, a little bit, but beautiful, very clear, absolutely fine. So 2 minutes. Yes, it's sports and gaming now, our penultimate topic, as always. And Maureen, if you could start us on that. 2 minutes, sports and gaming.
Okay, and I don't claim the 20 seconds from the previous one, do I? No. All right.
No, and not only that, you've just wasted another 5.
Oh,
so
no. I think the focus.
Reset.
I think the focus is going to be no, don't. I think it's going to be interactive live rights. So in sports, I think we're going to move from watching to interacting. And I think rights are going to be increasingly sold as the sort of technology bundles. So you get the data, you get betting integration, and you get commerce, and all of the CRM systems and access are going to really matter most for broadcast reach and reach just generally. So I think this is going to be a technology play. And you see that with more recently, I don't know if you caught this, but Fox has got this really interesting right to acquire or invest in FanDuel. So I think you're going to start to see, it's not acquiring, but it's exercising a right to be participating in the FanDuel betting fan kind of environment. So I think we're going to see some of that. But at the same time, I think gaming IP is also going to be adapted properly. We've seen The Last of Us season 2 prove that these respecting sort of worlds and franchises, not just brand names, are what sort of translates into the gaming environment. So live sport and gaming converge in 2026 as the transaction platforms really do move to underpin this ecosystem, not just a form of entertainment. So it's not just entertainment, it's going to be about financial and it's going to be about technology, and it's a bundle in itself to make a lot of people who want to invest in this area do quite well out of it. And Lovely. I'll stop there.
Oh, that reminds me of something that we did some consultancy for a betting firm. Entertainment, they call it, but it's a betting firm. And that was all about context betting. So you're watching a particular football match, your favorite football player is doing very well, and you can just have a context sensitive bet at that point personalized for you. And as a punter, I love that. And I think that's great. So if it's 2026 the year for that, I'd be very much into that. Cool. Thank you, sports and gaming. So it's your turn, Claire. You have 2 minutes. Same subject, sports and gaming. Go, go, go.
Well, 2026 World Cup year. In the US, if I'm not mistaken, and it's going to, so therefore bigger and better, of course, and
More
better than
expensive.
always, and more expensive. I will, and also, it's assuming you can actually get to the US at that stage. Anyway, moving on. I totally agree with you, Maureen. It's a convergence between sports and gaming, or certainly sports and betting, and everybody is saying that this World Cup was going to be the biggest global sports betting market ever, and we're going to see a lot of this. And people, would watch sports with a second screen, but instead of the second screen being social media, the second screen is now going to be a betting app, and we're going to see more and more democratization of sports betting. We're seeing FIFA awarding, lots of World Cup betting data and streaming rights. Bookmakers will be able to plug live video and stats directly into apps. This is becoming part of the sports viewing experience, makes it much more exciting, makes it very much more important to watch live, obviously. People are saying projections for the 2026 World Cup alone suggests global betting handle approaching $150 billion. So that's the sort of amount that we're talking about. So that's sports betting, which is a form of gaming, you could argue. Gaming, though, I'm going to treat slightly separately. Gaming is still huge, and we don't talk about gaming enough, and we've said we wanted to do a deep dive there. It's worth remembering that gaming is still bigger than film and music put together. It's about $500 billion every year. And the big trend in gaming is sort of, I want to go back to what I said about comfort viewing. There's a lot of comfort playing. PS5 is enormous. It's done so much better than the Xbox recently. And people play, well-known franchises on well-known consoles and enjoy that sort of comfort of doing something that's familiar. And I think we're going to
Nostalgia
see
almost?
more and more of that. That's actually what I wanted to say, so it's fine.
You bring.
Claire,
Yeah,
you can
Maureen.
have my 20 seconds. Have my
No,
20
this doesn't
seconds,
work
because that's
like
an interesting point.
No, this is-
Oliver is like, I can't do this. This is
No.
not how it
Like,
works.
The
why don't I
technology
give
doesn't
her my
exist.
20 seconds?
Well, let's just be a bit flexible. So it's nostalgic games that people are playing, like Space Invaders and Pac-Man and stuff, or is it?
No. It's just it could just be one of the very big franchise that people have and that keep coming back, and we know that what's the driving one? GTA. Sorry, that was
Super
terrible.
Mario? I don't know.
GTA 6 came out.
GTA, yes.
Yeah. Because it's a new version, and yes, it's a fresh gaming experience, but it's a brand that people are hugely familiar with. It's the same concept as the Avengers and Spider-Man and the procedurals. It's the sort of pleasure of playing something that's new, but also not new. And I think we're seeing a lot of that. But yes, interesting how well PS5 has done compared to what did the Xbox. It's really taken over. If you look back a few years ago, they were neck to neck, and that's definitely not the case anymore. Okay, I'll stop now.
Thank you. That's more than 21 seconds borrowed off Maureen. That'll affect the scoring at the end. So we move on.
She gave them to me.
Well, I'm sorry. She was not authorised, I'm afraid. So we love our rules. I think sports betting and cricket, I think they go well together, because the cricket changes so quickly, and there's you can bet on numbers of runs and stuff, and so there's loads of things to bet on. So I'm a two-screen cricket better kind of. Anyway, let's move on. Cinema and awards. We love this. We love these predictions. And Claire, you're going to start. So it's our final topic, actually. So your last 2 minutes, your last official 2 minutes comes now on cinema and awards.
So the awards race this year is pretty much sewn up, at least for the big awards. I'd be very surprised if there was a lot of change. I think One Battle After Another, which is a very good movie, will win best film. It may also win best director. I think best actor will go to Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, another good movie. I think best actress will go to Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. The sporting actors and actresses are slightly more open, but that's your game. It's sort of almost written. They could still be upset, but I'd be very surprised. I think what we've learned from the 2026 Oscars or BAFTA campaign is once again, the huge importance of the campaign with A24 and the Marty Supreme campaign. We talked about this. Warner Brothers did a very good campaign with One Battle After Another. It's not the only thing that counts. You still need a good movie, but it does now influence the play incredibly. And some, what I would argue, very, very good movies haven't quite made it to that level of visibility, partly because they were let down by the campaign. So that's where we are. And because of that, because of the absolute, hectic schedule of award shows leading up to the Oscars, there are fewer and fewer surprises, although obviously it can still happen. I'm going to add to this prediction for the 2026 global box office forecast. 2026 is supposed to be a really big year for films. Of course, the Odyssey, the Christopher Nolan movie, is going to come out, and people are predicting this could maybe go to 1 billion, certainly in the sort of high hundreds of millions. Avengers Doomsday is coming out, new Spider-Man is coming up, Dune Part 3 is coming up. So we've got a lot of very, very big tentpole movies, some of which haven't had a big outing for a few years now. So should be good news for the box office. People are definitely projecting an increase, and that is where I'll stop.
That's very good timing again. That's very good. I finally saw Marty Supreme. Guy, he's such a brilliant actor. He's such an annoying character, though. That's the only thing. I thought Marty was like, if I'd met him, I'd want to smack him because he was so irritating.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the point. That's definitely part of it. That's what my husband said the same. It's like, I hate him, but I quite enjoy watching him all the time.
Yeah. It's lovely when a new superstar emerges like that. It's great. Great predictions, lovely, very concrete. I like that. So, Maureen, over to you for the final time in this episode of predictions for 2026 Cinema and Awards. Maureen, 2 minutes.
All right. Well, as you heard, the long list of fantastic films that are going to be sort of true, I think, landmark films for 2026. But yet, against the backdrop of we still need to grapple with what is theatrical. It's becoming scarcer and scarcer, and we still don't know yet what the windowing is going to look like and whether or not the films go theatrical and then will they be dropping on streaming. So, but I reckon, though, theatrical is becoming even more, because it's scarcer, potentially, it's becoming more valuable. So I wonder where there's going to be this. I mean, it's a dichotomy here. I think is an issue here. I still think theatrical does have a place in our media ecosystem, but it's going to struggle. Anyway, my predictions are. I mean, Sean Penn, but he can't be in the running, One Battle After Another. He can't be in the running for Best Actor because, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio has got that slot. But I hope at least he gets Best Supporting Actor. I hope. I think that, and I'll look to Claire to see whether or not there's any Best
he's
Actor
definitely
ever been pushed.
He's definitely in the supporting actor category for the movie. And he may get, I don't know if he'll get it, but he'll be in the, I'd be surprised if he's not in the running.
I think he's absolutely wonderful. So my backing is Sean Penn. I think Timothy was absolutely superb in Marty, and of course DiCaprio was superb also. But Best Actress, I really am rooting for Emma Stone in Begonia. I'm sure. I don't know whether it's the film or it's her that was brilliant in that film, but it's so I'm going for her. And so they're my, as Claire says, there's no point in sort of looking out to anyone else. They're sort of that's it. That is it for me.
It's an outside chance, I think, because again, they didn't have the brilliant sorry, we've gone on to discussion.
They didn't have the best. They didn't. And to your point, it really is about the marketing. A24 are just doing this superbly. I mean, they're teaching everyone how to do it right. So yeah,
brilliant stuff. Just on the boys as well. Excellent work. That is a lot of predictions. That's we're going to have to transcribe that through AI to get a list of those for this time next year. Can't wait. Maureen, yes, you have your hand up.
I think I've got a wild card.
Oh, brilliant!
Can I play my wild card?
You can play the Joker.
I can play the Joker. I reckon that one of the big streaming companies pulls out of a territory, and they basically switch off and say they're doing this because the economics are not working, but they're doing it because they're focusing. And I think that's going to be really big news. And I think they'll need to do it. And I think they will. I don't know who's going to do it, but I think someone's going to do it. Pull out of a territory.
Wow. Big news. You heard it here first.
Okay, should I play my wild card now?
Yeah,
I
do it.
wonder if this is the year where the BBC and Channel 4 actually get closer to a merger, which I think is ultimately inevitable. So that's mine.
Wow. That is two wonderful wildcards to end. So brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Bumper episode. If I add up, we've got 1,307 predictions, which is quite good, and two wildcards at the end, which will count double points at the beginning, at the end of 2026. Looking forward to that. We have many, many more stuff to discuss in the meantime during this wonderful year. In the meantime, though, I have to say farewell for now, Maureen.
Bye. Happy New Year.
And farewell, Claire.
Goodbye, everyone, and a very, very happy new year.
Indeed.
And it's our fourth. And you know what? I'm playing another card. I predict that this will be the year where we reach 100 episodes. It's a pretty solid prediction. And it's our fourth. We're starting our fourth year as a podcast, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it puts us very high in the percentiles, actually, in terms of successful. I'll do the research, actually. But yeah, I think we will. We do maybe 16 a year. I think we're in a very, very strong position for that. So let's hope so. And it's the next one will be very soon. But until then, bye-bye.